Hey, welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host
Chip, what's up,
Chip.
guys?
What's going on, man? Hey, so today we are going to get into talking about Ripple banking XRP, business needing ODL, on demand liquidity. You guys know what that's all about. I'm excited about tonight. I know Chip's excited.
Let's get
Ready
this
to get into
puppy
this?
going. I can't wait to get this going. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All
There we are.
right.
It's always great coming
Happening.
off a weekend. Oh, it's good. Today was Father's Day. Had a great day. I don't know how your day was. Happy Father's Day to you and all the fathers and dads out there, and all the dads with us and no longer with us. But it's always a special day to bring back memories. And I got to spend this morning with my youngest daughter. Went out to breakfast, and then of course got to
Nice.
hang out with my dad later. So did you?
It's awesome. I'm gonna go see my dad next weekend. It's his birthday next weekend,
Oh, nice.
and Father's Day, and then so I got to hang out with my mom, my stepdad, my wife, my son. So it was awesome. They came down today and we hung out. Went to the store, stacked up on some sushi and steak burgers, and yeah, it was good.
It was a good day. So yeah, it's great. And it was a weird weekend because and we'll get into it in a little bit, but I think we should jump right into some XRP news too.
All
But
right.
let's jump into that. But we want to get into stuff too. A lot of stuff happened this weekend around Flare, and Jeff and I weigh in on it. We just got some ideas, some opinions, but I want to be kind of put a positive spin on some of the stuff that kind of burned down this weekend. And we'll kind of come up to it. But Jeff, I wanted to discuss this story here that you had thrown into our keep, which is absolutely amazing because
I love these kind of stories. It really gets you to think, and it puts everything into perspective.
yeah, the other thing too, Jeff, it's like it's part of it's called the Ascent, but it's part of Motley Fool. And if you guys know Motley Fool, been around since the 90s, and always you really traditionally focused on more stocks, bonds, all that kind of stuff. But they kind of been moving into the crypto thing. But you start seeing something like this headline. If you invested $1,000 in XRP 5 years ago, here's how much you'd have. So I'm curious to hear from some of the people with what they think.
Yeah, you know what I'm excited about when I see a story like this, and you bring up, spot on with Motley Fool, that mostly they focus on stock. That's what they know. That's what they do. You know that you're getting into that Main Street discussion when Motley Fool is focusing in on XRP. They didn't have to pick XRP. They could have
not at all
picked Bitcoin because everyone else in the world's talking about Bitcoin.
Doge.
They could have talked about Ethereum. They could talk about Doge. They could have talked about all of them, but they focused in on XRP, and that it's critical when all of these things begin to enter into the daily lexicon of a group like Motley Fool.
Yeah, so well said, Jeff. And let's I want to give some big kudos out to Parsa Persian, who thank you for that support. Happy Father's Day to the coolest guys on YouTube. Thank you so much. It means a lot, Parsa Persian. Appreciate that. We love coming in here and doing this. But you're right, Jeff. That's so well said because there really are a lot of choices. When you think about Motley Fool, they've been they're kind of traditional in nature, but I have always enjoyed the publication myself. I like reading a lot of the articles. Yeah, some are hit and misses, but you're not going to agree with everything, right? But they've been spot on about a lot of stuff. They were early in about Amazon, early about Google. There's a lot of cool things that they picked very early on when maybe it wasn't I would say probably the cool thing to do. It's like, wait a minute, Google came out. What is this? You're going to create a search engine. So they were, and especially Amazon too. A lot of people panned Amazon early, but to see them moving into this space, man, this is pretty cool. And this dude's on the phone like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, man, I spent $1,000. That's right. I put $1,000 in 5 years ago. What are you doing? Yeah, happy Father's Day to you too, buddy.
That's right. Exactly.
So I want to, just out of curiosity, I'm curious what people in the chat would think if you had taken $1,000 and just do it in your head. Don't go back and pull it up from 5 years ago on the chart and do the math. Just what do you think it would be worth that you put $1,000 in 5 years ago?
Yeah. What do you think it was 5 years ago?
See, that's the weird thing.
Too, right?
Well, when I saw this, Jeff, what was your initial reaction? Because when I saw this, I started going, I can go back 3 years, 4 years. I don't know what it was 5 years ago, off the top of my head. Did you have an idea?
No, I wasn't 100% sure, and I started
That's
thinking about
XRP.
it, but I know it was low. I know it was a lot lower, and it was going to be big. It was going to be a decent number, because I know the growth from 2017. I know the growth was already big going into 2017 at that point. So it was exciting. Man, Carlos from Tennessee. Man, it was great. Kyle Larson just won over at Nashville.
There
A
you
lot of
go.
good things today, man. Verstappen won Formula One past Hamilton in the last lap or second to last lap coming around in the F1 race in France. IndyCar was racing today, and it was a crazy race day. But all right, Norseman, look at that. Look at Norseman.
Norseman, what's up? Hey, Norseman. Crypto Hyrule, happy Father's Day, guys. You're the coolest. Following not only your own kids, but following young crypto investors. Oh, that's such a nice thing to say, man. I appreciate
Yeah,
that. Much
appreciate
love.
that.
Yeah, much love, man. Well, you know what it is? We come in here, we workshop stuff. We like Jeff and I do mini workshops. We don't do it in a vacuum. We do take a lot of input. And that's one of the reasons we like you guys to comment, subscribe, because your input and not only your opinions too, like, look, we don't have it all. We kind of just call it the way we see it, the way we see it. But your opinions like make us think about stuff. You sometimes will challenge us. You'll have a difference of opinion. Look, that's what it's about. It's about having the conversation. It's not about all agreeing on everything 100% of the time. Although Jeff and I pretty much do that because we're sort of lockstep in. But let's look back at this. Has XRP paid off for early investor, or has the SEC lawsuit done irreparable damage? Now that's a cool way to start this off, right? Because a lot of think about some of the people that are reading this don't necessarily know. They might have heard about the SEC, suing Ripple. It's a cryptocurrency that excited enthusiasts from the beginning. It's the native coin for Ripple, ambitious payment system aiming to replace SWIFT. See, what I like about the way they position XRP and Ripple in a really nice positive light, not like a lot of these clickbaits. Of course, it's operating on a different level, but it's kind of coming into it, setting it up very nicely, which you don't see too much except from a publication such as like the Motley Fool runs. And it talks about, it hasn't been without its setbacks, most notably the SEC. They kind of go into that a little bit. And they also talk about, while Bitcoin, Ether, and many other cryptos have been reaching all-time high, XRP hasn't come near its 2018 pick. Jeff, what do you think about that, the way they're framing it?
I think I like it. They're putting this together in a very intelligent way. They're not singling out like a lot of the maxis in the community that are immediately going to come out and start attacking XRP, for no reason, and these guys are coming at it from a stock perspective. They're stock investors. They're thinking about that growth. The idea that XRP, and they're definitely highlighting the SEC case as a stumbling point for a good reason, because December was a turning point for a lot of the digital assets in the space, and everything was moving up, including XRP, as there was a lot of momentum beginning to build. And we saw that with Bitcoin. We saw that with Ethereum. We saw that with Litecoin, just some of the known notables in the general sense of things, right? And then all of a sudden this case was filed. XRP went the other way. So for them to talk about, I think they're spot on with it. This is where it's at. There's a stumbling point. The space is moving forward. What's next? Because you look at it over history of stocks, of companies, there's going to be ups and downs in companies, and just because they didn't hit it out of the ballpark right away doesn't mean they're not going to succeed later on down the line. And they're trying to take that kind of a mindset and they're attributing it to the crypto space in this statement. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and it's good to see publications. It's good to see some really refreshing. And again, just no matter what you read, you're not going to agree with everything. But they say, despite the fact that it hasn't had any new records, it's done well for those who got in early. If you bought $1,000 worth 5 years ago, it'd be worth six figures now. So growth of $1,000 investment. 5 years ago, you could buy XRP for as little bit of half a penny. At that low price, 1,000 would have bought you 173,000 XRP. Price of it, well, it's 85. It's kind of dipped down in the 70s, but it's kind of like fluctuating. I know it touched 71 cents. But thanks to that massive increase, your previous $1,000 investment would now be worth. Now, this is the story, right? You can talk about like the others, like you named all the other coins and other projects that have been explosive, right? What ETH did, what some of these other ones did. But my dog just walked in and it's like sitting there greeting me here. So I was like, what the heck? And 14th, Jeff, how often do you see something blow up 14,000% in the stock world for over 5 years?
That's right. That's it. At 14,000%. I mean, that's massive gain. And that's when you put it into perspective. So that, and we talk about this so much on the show, well, all the doom and gloom that comes out of the media, the mainstream media, as they focus in, oh, this whole space went down by 50%. You know, Bitcoin dropped 50% last week. But let's put it in perspective. Let's look at the stock market 5 years ago. Is the stock market and all of these other assets in the stock market, did they increase by 14,000% over the past 5 years? Probably not. You know,
by the way,
that's it.
Norseman said 147,000%.
He was spot on.
Wants to know what he wins? Praise.
That's
nice
right.
work.
Praise.
You won a
Good job.
Good job. Good job, Norseman. Way for jumping in there and being smarter than the rest of us.
You read the article this morning.
I don't know. Well, then it goes into a little bit of a history. Like its earliest recorded price on CoinMarketCap was 0.0058 right there on August 4, 2013, outside of a couple brief price jumps. It stayed under 0.01 until 2017. And that's when we know, obviously,
that's right.
Famous bull run going into 2018. And that's when it hit its all-time high. But second quarter 2017 was XRP's first big break. We got into that. It rocketed upwards at the end of 2017, going to 2018. Then it crashed.
384. It did crash. And
I know, because I kind of bought some. I bought some on the way up. I bought some on the way down. Somebody said, like, what was the highest you bought in at? I mean, when it went up to, what was it 384, 283, 384, something like that. Yep. And then it went into a bull market. So, look, is it a good buy? It's been a fantastic investment for buyers who got in early enough, especially for anyone sold around its 2018 peak. That's the past, though. Whether it's a good investment now is harder to judge. Point in XRP's favor is secured hundreds of partnerships.
There you go.
They nailed that one too, Jeff.
Yep. I like it. They're looking at the development of the future. Again, this space is so new. It's still it's beyond its infancy stage. It's kind of in its toddler stage. It's just getting up and it's walking, it's talking, but there's so much more to learn and grow in the space. It just isn't, it's not there yet, but these guys recognize that fact that it takes time to build it out, create the full structure, the full framework of what we're seeing. And I'm liking some of the comments here. Hodl the Oddle said, if in doubt, zoom out. And that's it.
Right.
You look at these micro changes, hour to hour, day to day, week to week, and you'll go crazy. Even month to month, you're going to go crazy looking at all those changes. Try doing that on a stock chart. You're going to see the same types of things where you're still going to go crazy on a stock chart in those, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. You're going to see those fluctuations. You just can't do it. You got to look back. And that makes a lot of sense. I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh, right on.
Man, so what did Oscar said, even if you bought now, the same story be about you 5 years later. We don't know what the percentage increase will be, 5 years from now, but I can see that in the past 10 years, the space has done nothing but increase. Why would it start now to not increase, continuously? Why won't it? Now we're somewhere where there's utility is about to, catch. The whole world is focused in on what's going on. Why wouldn't it take off at this point?
Yeah, and the thing about we talk about adoption, adoption in itself, it's happening on a lot of levels, but XRP has really sort of it's got a lot of good positive press, a lot of stuff, but we have to remember the fundamentals. And one of the reasons we took a look at this in the first place, why we went into it, right? Because it had serious utility. It kind of, it's not worth, or I wouldn't say that, like, we shouldn't forget about the fundamentals, 3 to 4 second transaction time, 1,500 transactions per second. Like, that's the fundamentals of it. But what's different about this, yeah, okay, there's a lot of cool projects out there, but Ripple spent time, built rails, and they also spent time crafting the software. The software is the magic that makes it happen, right? The on-demand liquidity, having the ability to create that liquidity. I see a lot of challenging projects coming out, right? They're going to do something very similar transaction speeds, very similar in nature as far as how they want to sort of handle the remittance and cross-border payments type of scenario. One of the things they're lacking is that liquidity, right? Because you still have to deal with whether you're institutional or not. You want it fully liquid and when it hits the other side. And that's, to me, what I think the leg up that Ripple's been doing. And that cannot be discounted because they have put the work in, and it's kind of like a marriage made in heaven. Great token, great company. You put them together, peanut butter and jelly, whatever it may be, chocolate and peanut butter, you get that dynamite connection together. They're stronger. And that's one of the things that I think utility is probably still, to me, one of the number one things you look at when you're looking at making an investment as far as the crypto world's concerned.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm thinking about, you're talking about peanut butter and jelly. You go outside of the US and people are like, what the heck is Chip talking about? Peanut butter and jelly.
That's right. Well, my wife,
peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in a lot of countries. They have no idea what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's just like, especially my wife, she's like, peanut butter and jelly. We didn't eat that growing up. I'm like, okay. All right. And if you're in Australia, maybe it's like something different. They have that, what is that? Marmite? What is that? Marmite.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's
have you ever had that?
I have.
Marmite it's brutal.
I've had that on that. Yeah. So that's, what's the other one they have? They have another one too. That's, but again, everything's regional. Everyone has like, it's all popular, and you go there, you're like, what? People eat this stuff? Are you kidding me? But again, but one of the things, Jeff, that you pointed out so eloquently is the fact that crypto is the one thing that ties us all together, because we all believe heavily in decentralization and freedom, right? Freedom of choice, freedom of controlling our money, what we want to do. Maybe we're not the smartest people, but you know what? We know what to do with our money. And that whole idea, that whole crypto, sort of a vibe is bringing the world together on a scale like nobody's seen before.
That's right. Hey, I kind of pawn asked if I've ever tried Screwball peanut butter whiskey. Never tried it. However, check this out. For Father's Day, my wife got me a bottle of Craig Isle.
Oh, nice.
Man, 25 year. It's gonna be interesting. But
Jeff, so Jeff, that's right. I will be visiting you. I will be visiting you soon. Sooner than you expected.
We'll bust out the Glen Moreggy Signet and the 18.
And Moreggy.
We can just we'll go through one after another.
I might not be able to walk after
It'll be brutal. It'll be fun.
Be a potential issue. Yeah, that's it's insane.
Yeah, so Tony Fisk has returned from where he has returned. I'm not sure, but he is now with us. So
that's good.
So Chip, you bring up some really interesting points. You bring up decentralization equals freedom. I was looking at this article. I meant to read through the whole thing, but it was saying that this whole idea of decentralization is unique to the US. This idea of DeFi, decentralization, freedom, kind of the separations of, of government, of how we have the different branches and the different powers. They said it was very uniquely, that was the title of the article. I read through the beginning, didn't read through the whole thing. But I thought it's going to be interesting, topic to dig into, because I'm seeing that freedom and this idea of decentralization, to me, is something that's needed across the globe from end to end. I think all people are craving freedom. All people are craving this idea of financial freedom, decentralization, a separation away from the powers that are dictating and controlling how they can dictate the outcome of their own lives. And we're seeing that in many cases with this. And that's the exciting part about all the digital assets. I know we've talked about before, but that was kind of top of mind. I thought I would bring it up. Hey, so Jeb, I want to bring this one up. This is kind of a silly story. But then there's another tweet with Ripple that's talking about eliminating pre-funding for destination markets to allow businesses to put their capital to work, which is really the need of businesses for on-demand liquidity. But before we get to that, man, it keeps coming up. It's going to keep popping up over and over and over again. This idea of Doge, kind of jockeying for a position Now it seems like it's jockeying for position with XRP. Both of them competing for the number 6 space as far as market cap.
That's
When
pretty
you've got as
crazy.
much, it is crazy. When you have as much as Dogecoin has out there, somebody brought up, I had mentioned, why Doge with Flare? And they brought up the size of the Doge community, but I'm still, the whole idea of the Doge, where it started, how it's developed, how it's kind of growing, and there's really no other utility within Doge other than what Flare is getting ready to do, by adding it to, to the ecosystem. What are your thoughts on this? To
Well,
where it's going?
look, I mean, I kind of see it as like, I'm not one to really want to put down projects, right? You go like, well, what's the project at Doge, right? But something else, I'll kind of put that in line. So Doge's been around for a long time now, right? Started as a joke, we all know that. It looks like it's got some potential utility. Well, it does have utility once Flare launches, because you'll be able to use that as an F asset, right? You'll be able to go ahead and use it as collateral, which is a great thing, but you look at something like that, like Shibu. Now, Shibu came out pretty recently, but they've already started developing. You can already get yield on it. There's a lot of cool things you can do with that. So I'm kind of like looking at that. There's another article that we can jump into about that as well. But look, anything that brings people into the crypto space, I don't care. If you want to invest your money into Doge, go for it. If you like the project, you might just like the meme. Like I invested in XRP because of the cartoon bear. So everyone has a thing. I mean, I make jokes about that, but I invested in XRP because of the utility. And I look at other projects very similarly, but I've been known on occasion, Jeff, to kind of just say like, that's kind of cool. I just like this. There's a couple projects that I'm in. Look, like I said, you throw $100 at it. You're not going to be too disappointed, but you never know. It could surprise you. You threw $100 in 5 years ago to Doge. What would that be worth, let alone 1,000, right? Because they could do the same thing for every one of the coins. But to me, I'm not going to talk down any project. Now, if it's a rug pull, right? Yeah, okay. If it's a pure scam coin, got it. Doge has proven itself in the fact that early days, they were all about giving back. They were all about giving back to people for whatever it was. They did a lot of charity stuff early days. It kind of gotten away from that mission, but that was one of the things that kind of made it kind of interesting, because you're like, oh, it's a joke coin, but wait a minute, they're raising money for this, they're doing this, they're doing all this exciting stuff. That's pretty cool. But I don't talk down projects, Jeff, personally. I believe that if you came for the Doge and stayed for the XRP, kudos. If you came for, the Doge and bought Bitcoin or one of the other, 50 or 100 exciting projects, cool.
Yeah, that's how I look at Doge. And over the period of time, it was always interesting because it attracted such a following. And that to me is interesting. And the value of something is dictated by what people think and agree that the value is. So if you agree that the value is 0.001 and everybody's trading it based on 0.001, then people agree that the value of Doge in the space is worth 0.001. As soon as there was some excitement over it, now people agree, because there's trading going on, that it's worth, I don't know what the latest is. Let's call it point, 30. But people believe that it's worth 30 cents right now. That's it. I mean, that's a whole, base concept of currency. We accept the value of currency because we all agree that a dollar is a dollar. It's not backed by gold. We agree that there's something, the Federal Reserve is somehow, whatever. I mean, get into a long conversation about that part of it, as you know. But overall, people agree that's what it's worth. And if I want to buy a bottle of water from you, it's worth $1, right? So that's it. And I've agreed that my dollar is worth this bottle of water. So why not with Doge? It seems to be that same cycle. So I'm all for it. The Shiba too. I mean, you brought up Shiba. You know what I'm excited about Shiba? There's too many of those meme coins. I think some of that, the meme coins coming out, strictly a play for money. That's it. And someone's going to get left holding the bag. And I think that that's bad. Because at some point, if you're hyping it up to a point where you're increasing the valuation because of the hype, not because people agree, but because of the hype part of it and the FOMO, and you're taking advantage of people based on that part of it, it gets a little scary at that point, because someone's going to get left holding the bag at $1 and maybe it's going to go back down to 30 cents. And, but Shiba came out, Chip, you brought that up, as a little bit different, because now all of a sudden they're creating the Shiba swap. Do you think, I haven't read enough into it. I just saw it kind of roll out. I want to get to know it a little bit more, understand it a little bit more, and see if it's legit or if it's maybe a little bit of hype. And, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to even talk on it, but I like that part of it. I like projects.
Yeah, the fact that they're jumping in, and one of my favorite writers is Siamak Masnavi. He wrote this. He always writes some thought-provoking pieces, and he put this one together. I thought this was pretty good. I'm always checking out his stuff there, and he wrote this one. He says, "Is SHIB better than Doge?" and other crypto news from Paraguay. So he makes this assertion here. He says, "Well, Grupo Cinco, one of the largest entertainment and nightlife companies in Paraguay, has announced that it's going to start taking a step into the future by accepting select cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, ETH, SHIB, and I'm not sure what is CHZ. I don't know. I'm not always up on the Chiz, whatever that is. And so there's some, Chiliz. I think that's what it is. Yeah, Chiliz. So they start saying like, okay, now they put this thing out, like, look at all these clubs that they have. They're going to start accepting it. So now you got your phone, you can start using it inside the club. And again, this is just filtering down into more adoption. And I love this. He says, what's interesting about the June 17th announcement, which was which currencies it was going to, cryptos it was going to accept as a means of payment. Bitcoin, Ethereum, obvious choices. Less obvious are Chiliz and Shiba Inu, which are two of the most the cryptos that, interestingly enough, Coinbase announced would soon be listed on Coinbase Pro. And we know that Shiba is already on there. So it's an interesting thought to, the Paraguay, this big, this complex that they're putting it together. But again, I just think it's just more about, it's more adoption than anything else. And so what, they can put a no-name coin on there. Hey, this is good stuff, man. Put whatever you want in there.
That's right. I like that idea. Let's do a no-name. Let's just call it no-name. The no-name coin.
Be one. I think there was one called Aunt Helen's handbag, and I think that went like mooned already. I think something like that.
So too many of those are going to be scams, and that's where, so in some fashion, I look at these meme coins as a significant possibility to create problems for the ecosystem as a whole, for the crypto ecosystem. You have too much garbage out there, too many scams out there, then you're going to draw too much negative attention, because then that idea of it being scam coins and being used for nefarious purpose or just nonsense, it's going to catch on. And, but at the same point, all the big projects are still moving forward, rapidly. So all that noise is going to burn off, and the staying power is going to be there. But it's interesting, you brought up Paraguay, because here you have Panama is getting ready to present a crypto related bill in July. And I think that's, really key. Here you have Congressman Gabriel Silva plans to present a bill that could potentially spearhead the adoption of cryptocurrencies as legal tender and create tax incentives for crypto related business. Now, this is in Panama. So here you go. There's his tweet right there. And man, that's significant. First El Salvador, now Paraguay. We know Mexico's talking about, or Panama. We know Mexico's talking about. They're starting to talk. It's going to be amazing, because it's going to happen faster and faster. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's great for the whole ecosystem. That's why, look, we all have our favorites. You can look at whatever you want, but look, just look at what the underlying structure is. You got countries that are grabbing the limelight because they're making bold choices, right? And they're making choices which they think are going to be best to benefit not only their citizens, but put them on a world stage as well. So you look at by El Salvador, right? They came into it, and guess what happened? Now you got to talk about people. I saw that Spend the Bits is now looking to set up an office or set up shop there, as far as, because they've got that beautiful app that could let you send Bitcoin is someone in 3 to 4 seconds because he's using the XRP ledger. Then you've got look what's happening over in China. They're shutting down all the Bitcoin mining. Where do you think they're going to go? Volcano power. That's going to be my hint to you, Jeff. Volcano,
love
inexpensive power. And what happens when you bring a lot of people back into your economy? They start setting up shop. A lot of Bitcoiners go down there. They start setting up shop, and guess what? You start flooding a lot of money back into your economy. You start, building and doing good stuff. So to me, this is like exciting because I don't care what the World Bank was never going to go help El Salvador. It's like, wait a minute, you guys want us to help you implement Bitcoin, which is our #1 nemesis? No,
Right.
hell no, right? They're not going
Right.
to do that.
That's a great point. And we're starting to see these countries, it's not even about a challenge to the supremacy of the US dollar as a reserve currency. It's not about being able to circumvent legislation from a world global perspective on whether or not you're doing something contrary to world opinion, like a North Korea or an Iran or something like this. This is all about, when you go to South America, it is, and in Africa and in some of the other countries that you see a lot of this discussion right now over digital assets. It is about taking back full control of their sovereignty. It's about creating an opportunity for the people for wealth. And what you just said is spot on. You allow for normalcy of Bitcoin. It's the hottest topic right now. China's getting rid of miners. You have basically free power with volcano power. Volcano power is the greatest power known to man. We love volcano power. So, so if you can attract people from all over the world to mine in your country, you're going to bring in the best and the brightest. You're going to give your own people an opportunity to do it as well. You're going to create wealth like you've never seen it before. All of a sudden, El Salvador goes from somewhere having to rely on help from the World Bank and the IMF to being an economic powerhouse. An economic powerhouse. How did that work out for Dubai? Worked out pretty damn well for them. They realized that oil wasn't the end all be all. Changed their entire future. They said, we don't want to be known for oil anymore. We want to be known as the playground of the wealthy and the business class. Boom, Dubai is on the world stage as the place to be, for business and if you're wealthy. Why not El Salvador? Why not Panama? Why not Guatemala? Why not Paraguay? Why not South America take control of their destiny with this new asset class, with this new technology? I think it's freaking amazing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and the fact that it's taken root, I think a lot of people focus too much on the price too. And you go like, well, Chip, that's why we got in this, to make money. Yeah, I understand, but here's where I'm going with it. You understand what the fundamentals are. You're always going to have market fluctuations. Jeff called it earlier. He's like, yeah, stocks have been through ups and downs, and companies go through changes, and they make missteps along the way. But you know what? They kind of get it back together. But you get back to some of the basics. But what we look at when you're getting into this space, maybe you're invested in a couple different projects. Look at the fundamentals, but you got to look at this. You don't compare 2021 to 2020. 2019, 2018, 2017, that 2017, 2018 bull run. Why? It's a different era because now, man, Jeff and I can't keep up with all the stories that come in about, countries are adopting. You got cities like Miami, you've got Florida, you've got everything that's happening, Europe's starting to take, root. Then you've got stuff, what's leading the whole entire pack is what's happening over in Asia. They are just destroying it, eating us up, going full speed ahead. And this is what we want to spend our time. Look between the lines to see what's really going on. And some people, when the price drops, they go like, hey, I see an opportunity. Other people flip out, go into a panic mode, and just can't resolve it. But if you know the fundamentals, you spend a little bit of time in this, and maybe you're new, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make you any different. If you're in this for one day, you made a decision to invest. Cheers and kudos to you. But don't get rattled by some of the negative stories you see out there. There's a lot of negative stuff that went on this weekend with regard to Flare, in a sense that, Flare came out with a proposal about how they were going to give some different options and vote on the governance because they were worried, or they spoke to a scholar of some kind in the space, in the US space. And again, there's a bunch of things that just didn't sit well. Jeff and I already talked to them ad nauseum, so we don't have to get into them. But also too, there was another thing that I just think they're under a tremendous amount of pressure. We're almost at go time, and forget about the distractions of, oh, you didn't do this, and we should vote on this. And here's the deal: you got these free tokens, right? So where's the outrage of other projects out there that said like, hey, man, we're really worried about your tax implication? No, nobody says that. Here's the one thing we know. Here's what you can count on: death, taxes, death. That's probably the better order, but that's what you can count on. And it's like everything else just becomes a major distraction. And how much you pay in taxes depends on the tax professional you hire to look out after your tax implications. So don't worry, don't go down that tunnel.
Yeah, tax is tax. I mean, somebody said, why,
Tax is tax.
Yeah, what's the big deal? So someone said, what's the big deal with tax? Tax is always going to be an issue. It's an issue when you invest. It's an issue when you get something free. It's an issue when you get an airdrop. It's an issue, regardless. That's from an investor perspective. Now, the one thing, I did my video yesterday, caught a little bit of flack from some people. Oh, well, the thing is, why is starting off in the space, we're just a bunch of noise. We have our opinion. We're going to look at something from a certain perspective. I'll tell you what, I don't expect that a CEO or a project is going to listen to what I have to say and make their decisions based on it, because who am I? I don't know their project. I don't know the back end of it. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know the stress of it. I'm just going to give my opinion on how I see it. That's why we're having fun on YouTube, to try to analyze it, workshop it, and figure it out. And I'm going to call, things if I don't like what I'm seeing, I'll call it. If I like it, whatever. I've been in, big projects before. I've opened up, global projects before. I've done a lot. And the only thing I can do when I'm in that position is try to ignore the noise from around us. There's a lot of noise, people, they don't know what the hell you're doing. And yet they want to give you their advice and opinion. Hey, great. That's awesome. Just cut out the noise. You're, throwing some stuff that was going on even out. It has nothing to do with us because, nobody, they don't know us from anybody, it doesn't matter. But I saw some other things going on, man. My only advice to them is don't worry about what goes on in the community here. Cut it off, do what you guys got to do it the right way. You guys know your business. You know what you want your outcome to be. That's it. You've got an amazing technology. Let's see where that technology can go. That's all that matters at this point, Yeah.
No, Jeff, well said. And, I look at it like this. It's like at the end of the day, we were XRP holders. Along came this exciting project with the promise of really making sort of like a 2.0 Ethereum, a 3.0 Ethereum, right? Smart contracts, being able to, get some rewards. And for signal providers, you could delegate your vote, and then you could also earn that way. Man, the old saying is, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And it was funny because I was talking about this with my wife, and she had said, they have a saying down in Chile, and it's like very similar to that. It's like, don't look a horse someone gave you, like the translation, don't look a horse someone gave you in the teeth. And that's like, so someone gave you a horse, you're like, well, the teeth are just corroded, man. I can't, this
I'm not going
to
take it.
You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to take the horse, So
not gonna be able to eat.
At the end of the day, man, because this community invested in XRP, Flare, Hugo Filion had the foresight to say, like, what, this is a community where I want to put this on. He didn't have to do any of this stuff. He could have just said, like, we're going to release the project rather. It's going to come out. We're going to get the Flare network's going to come out, and we don't know what the opening price. Let's see what the market dictates. You guys can buy it or don't buy it. Nobody cares. But he wanted adoption. He chose a community, and then he went ahead and added Litecoin. They went ahead and added ETH, and they added Doge, right? So he went out there and, as an organization, let's focus on what they did that was very different than anything that's been done that I can tell in crypto. Nobody comes up to you and knocks on your door and says, hey, Mr. or Mrs. whatever, I'd like to give you something for free. Or like, dude, what's the catch? Instead of saying, dude, what's the catch? They get nonstop harassment. They get nonstop, punched in the throat. And I get it. We all have our opinions. Sometimes we can be a little bit tough on Brad, Garlinghouse and something, but at the end of the day, we love the company. We love what they're doing. We don't agree with everything they do. And I'm sure they don't agree with anything we talk about. What am I wrong, Jeff?
You're not. We shouldn't agree with everything everybody does. And from our perspective, why would that even be interesting? Why would you want to, be here and just agree with everything that everybody does just for the sake of agreeing to it?
Right.
If you see something you don't agree with, say it, let people comment, let's see what they think, and that's it. I mean, that's the whole perspective here. If I was sitting in front of them, I would have the same exact conversation. I would say, what in the world? Here's my opinion. That's your opinion. Let's discuss it. That's it. But the one thing I do know for certain is that, is that Moneybags is saying if he needs money for tax, he's calling you, Chip. That's
not a good idea, Moneybags.
That's
not a good idea, man. Don't call me. I have a highly trained, I have a very good CPA, and I've been with her for a long time. Why? Because she follows the rule. She follows the letter of the law, and she's she's been up on crypto from day one. And that's one of the reasons that because I'm like, she knows, she's in the know, and she'll only do, and when new stuff comes out, she's always into it. But you're right, Jeff. I mean, the bottom line here is like, guys, don't get lost in like the little stuff. Doesn't mean anything. Let's focus on the big stuff. Yeah, I know there was some missteps. I know the CTO made some remarks, and I know that I commented on that saying, I wasn't, so happy about whatever, but the bottom line is like what Jeff's saying, who cares? At the end of the day, they're under a tremendous amount of pressure. They're trying to get this damn project launched. We heard the end of June. Well, that's coming up the last I checked, or July, but they want to make sure that it's right. What I know is that if this is anything that we've been thinking about, all of us collectively, we're in for a real treat. Oh,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, please, go ahead.
Oh, no, continue. Go ahead.
I lost my train of thought, Jeff. I was just saying we're in for a real treat. Like, it's like, could be the best party ever, and there's going to be some bumps along the way. It's not going to be perfect, but so what? It's going to be potentially awesome.
Yeah, man, we don't know. I mean, there's so much going on in this space. So I don't know why XRP Speedboat is constantly beating up on my lemon tree. He doesn't like the lemon tree. Doesn't agree with the lemon tree. What can I do? But I'll tell you what, Chip. There's an acronym, TANSTAAFL. You probably know what it is. TANSTAAFL, right? And it means there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. And I'll tell you what. My first reaction when they said, we're going to do this my reaction is to all airdrops. There's airdrops. These things are showing up. I went into one of my accounts and all of a sudden there's this airdrop and they said, you've got, whatever. And it's worth $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. I'm like, well, how do I get it? Well, you got to do this. You got to buy this. You got to do that. I'm like, I don't want any affiliation with it. But the thing is, here's an airdrop. There's going to be some ramification to getting something for free. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. We have to get that. We understand that. We knew that right away. I was a little concerned. I said, there's an airdrop coming, hey, this is awesome. When are we going to get it? Well, you're getting 15%. Then there's going to be 3% spread out over the next 2 or 3 years. And I said, why? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not on the creating side, but it's free. Give me the 15%. I'm happy. That's fine. You want to do that? That's awesome. You don't want to do that? That's awesome. I mean, I've got no pull, no nothing based on what those guys want to do, right? That was their prerogative. Hey, they're giving us something. They didn't have to do it. You said that, I mean, it is what it is at this point. They're trying to engage the community.
They're trying to engage the community. Somebody had commented on Twitter is saying like, well, I may have to sell 40% of my Spark just to pay the tax bill. I'm like, that's awesome because you got 60% left to earn. This is not a meme coin where you hold it and you just hope that they maybe associate some type of utility with it, or initial coin drop where they give you you buy it at a cheap price, you hope it rises. That's not what this is. People are forgetting that this has utility. So with XRP, with your Spark token, Spark can be collateralized to be able to earn, right? To take your Spark and delegate your vote to a signal provider to provide data. There will be competition because there's multiple signal providers out there, and you choose, that's right, you choose which one you want to go ahead and delegate your vote for. And guess what? You earn rewards. I'm like, so what? Who cares what the tax implication is for this? And you know what I always say this in business, Jeff, you know this so well. You know, when people start talking about taxes, I'm like, paying a lot of tax and worried about paying a lot of tax is one of the best problems you can experience in life. Okay. You're not sitting around going like, I wonder why my tax bill's so low. That's not a good problem. That's the wrong kind of problem. You want to know about, I mean, sure, you want to minimize it, but that's why you hire tax professionals and people in the know.
That's right. Some of
To
these
know more than you.
out there. Yeah, some of these billionaires out there that pay Elon Musk pays almost nothing, you know, relatively speaking, but his company pays a whole bunch of taxes. You know, everything around him pays a whole bunch of taxes. The guy, what he created, injects a huge amount of tax dollars into the space. That's the reality of it. But you're right. If you have to pay a big tax, that means you made a big amount of money. And you should say, holy cow, you know, how much money did I just make? You know, that I have to pay that kind of tax. The only difference is when you have a tax implication on something that you didn't earn, that was given to you through this airdrop, and now you have a tax implication and you're forced to take action because of somebody else's action. Sometimes, you know, then you do say, hey, I might have a problem with that. Why are you creating more work for me? You know, but that's each individual can say, I don't want it, you know. Don't give me the distribution. That's everybody's prerogative, I believe. I think there's an off switch. I don't even know if there's an off switch. Do you automatically have to take the distribution of 3% a month, or can you say, I just want the 15%. I don't want the 3%. And then all the rest of your conversation goes away. I don't even know if you can do that.
I don't know if you can do it either, but I thought this was interesting. This one came out. So this is signal provider ftso.eu said, hey, you know, this isn't an official proposal. We want to discuss it with the community and evaluate it together. So here it is right here. It says the problem XRP holders who claimed on exchanges on December 12th, 2020 are tied for almost 3 years to whatever that exchange is. In our opinion, it'd be better to change this if possible. So why is that a problem? Well, XRP holders were notified less than a month before the snapshot date of this deferred distribution, so it didn't have enough time to discuss it. And then it talks about, let's collecting ideas here. Option 2, initially proposed by the CEO of Flare Network, and then withdrawn, opened an interesting scenario to free XRP holders from the exchanges. And then advantages of option 2. So this was option 2. Jeff, do you remember exactly what option 2 was in the proposal from Hugo Filion?
Option 2 was basically 15. You get your 15%. They were going to burn the 85.
They're going to burn it, right? So they would reduce the total number.
It was going to disappear altogether. Yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, that would be 15 billion instead of 100 billion, right?
Right.
First and only airdrop of 15% would deliver 100% of the tokens to its users by basically untethering them from the exchanges, and it would solve any tax problems for the world because and it says it also would be reward early participants more because the FTSO voting rewards would be applied on the 100 billion original supply for the first 6 months. And then they talk about alternatives. Another alternative could be to airdrop 100 billion on day one, but we think that supply would be too high for the start of the existing 10% inflation rate would be enough to allow the network to grow an option 2 scenario, comparing option 2 with the original. Instead of distributing 3% monthly, the inflation rate could be even more in the voting or the reward. But Jeff, what do you think about this whole, I mean, they're bringing up something interesting here.
Yeah, you know, and I said it yesterday, you know, if you want to go down that path, as soon as I saw him intro this idea of allowing the community to vote on it, you know what? I don't know. You know, I'm not smart enough from that perspective. I don't understand the back end of their network, of what their needs are, what kind of liquidity of the asset they're going to need to do all these different things that they're planning. I don't know. You know, I would really have to dig in deep, probably have a couple hour conversation with them to get just a little bit of a glimpse of it. But none of us are really privy, other than the white paper. We can read through it. So hopefully the white paper spells it out very clearly. Then you have a, understanding, unless there's other things that they're planning, outside of that. I don't know. But, to that point, man, if you're going to put it out to the community, then you have to drop the 15%, the way I understood it, after seeing some of the comments as well. You have to get the 15%, which then gives people voting rights at that point. All right. Then you can bring governance once there's a distribution. And I think that's what he was even saying in option 1, which 15% distribution. You have a 5-month period of discussion, and then they would vote on what would happen next. And you could go to, I believe that's what the conversation was. It'd be option 1 or option 2 after that original occurrence. But it's a tough conversation at this point, because now they pulled it back. They're going to do what they're going to do, and they should go back to what they said originally. Just block out the noise. Just do what they're going to do. Forget about all of us, everybody talking. Everyone, thinks they know what's going on, and only they know what's going to be good for their objective and their business. That they're the ones who created the business. So just go forward and do what you got to do. That's how I see it.
No, it's exactly right, Jeff. And this quote came to mind. I kind of think it's applicable here, but Henry Ford famously said that if I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So again, this ties back to what you're saying. It's like, you have a vision for your project. A lot of times, all the people who are the visionaries that said, hey, we need this, wouldn't it be great? They're like, there's also a famous story about the guy who ran the patent office in the late 1800s. He goes, pretty much anything that's could be invented has already been invented. It's like that turned out to not work. He's like, well, at this point, it's all kind of all been thought about before. And look, the funny thing about this, and we talk a lot about this when you're iterating a product, right? Because you can go into the iteration phase and you go like, oh, we need this, we need this, we need this, or someone says 3 people come in concert and say, we need this feature, but then nobody else uses it. So you gotta. That feature creep is really difficult when you're building products. To build features on it, this is one of the things that Jeff and I have really commended Ripple on, is the fact that they didn't get into feature creep. They didn't take the XRPL and say, well, now it can do this, it can do this. It's, and it does this too. And wait, there's more. They didn't do that. What they said was, then David Schwartz comes out and says, hey, why don't we do a federated side, sort of side chain here? Why don't we create a side chain that can interact with the XRPL? Oh, okay. Smart. That's one of the things, that Ripple has been very consistent with. And they could have come up with a bunch of different use cases, focus on institutional cross-border payments, and then come out with on-demand liquidity. And they iterated their product in line with their vision. And they have the vision, and not many others do.
That's it. Good, really spot on. And you brought up Ripple, and these guys have been, spot on right from the beginning. Their primary objective was to go after Swift, but you could see the development of the RippleNet. You could see the need of what they're working on in the business space. And one of the tweets that they recently put out here, it's time to eliminate pre-funding of destination markets and put that capital to work to grow your business. And I think it's so spot on. And then you bounce over to the article that they put here: free working capital with on-demand liquidity, deliver instant cross-border payments without pre-funding. We know about all that stuff, but free up your working capital. This is one of the biggest issues of a business, right? You have to figure out how do you transact? How do you do all this stuff? Well, ODL, innovative financial institutions thriving with ODL. Osimo uses on-demand liquidity for faster international payments into the Philippines. Look at this. Ripple's ODL solution has significantly reduced the cost and delivery time for cross-border transfers, and our customers are seeing the benefits. You want to see that kind of stuff. Look at this. Free up working capital and get ahead of the competition. So these guys, they understand what's needed, and now's the moment in time. Businesses need it. Banks need it. People need this solution. It's still going to take time. They're just, going back to the initial premise that we constantly always go, they're just laying the rails, but look how they think of things. It's really outstanding. I like it.
XRP Speedboat, thank you for that. He says, block out the noise and put on a max sell tape. Well said. Thank you for that.
The usual, sir. Please.
Please.
I don't know, Jeff. I don't know about you. I never tire of seeing that, man. Vintage stuff sometimes just lives on forever. So thank you for that. So look, a lot of the stuff, it's all about crypto Twitter, can be a cesspool of sludge and divisiveness. And, none of us are immune from it. I sometimes jump into, and, you're like, one of the most famous things that ever happened was I connected with an old college friend of mine. and she she was I put, this is back in the day, like, maybe 10, 12 years ago, whatever. Facebook was like, raging. It was pretty big. And I put something on there. A lot of people just didn't like my post. So they were just jumping in and everyone was doing that. And I said, I'm just laughing so much that you jumped in and you're battling every person in, like, she's got like 6 or 7 battles. And she was getting all like flared about it, messed up, she was going crazy about it. The funny thing was, is her daughter said to her, like, Mom, what are you doing? She goes, I don't know. I'm in like 15 battles right now. Leave me alone. And she was just like battling, kind of like giving her, and like, that's how Twitter will suck you in. It'll be like, it will take your last drop of blood. It'll take everything you have. So you can't get too sucked into it. Sometimes Jeff and I laugh the hardest with some of the comments. Like Jeff got hammered yesterday with some of his comments. And it was like,
They were awesome.
They were awesome, man. We all put some of those up there. They were really fantastic.
And I love people's comments, because people are smart. I love seeing in John yesterday, he said, I have to respond. I think you're off, and he kind of went through his explanation. I responded back. I responded to a number of people that had commented, thought that, whatever. Hey, you know what? That's awesome. I love the difference of opinion.
Right.
I love the conversation. Love it. And here's one of the things that you're bringing up, so spot on. That's the problem with Twitter, the problem with Facebook, the problem with a lot of the social medias, and the problem with email, that you don't get the emotional response that you can read, right? You don't know the tone of the email. You don't know the tone of the text. Just because I accidentally put a comma or a period or an exclamation mark, or didn't put any of them,
or
people are going to read the tone differently, or put in all caps because whatever. And someone in here was, I think it might have been Norseman, said, I wish my keyboard on my phone was bigger. Sometimes I'm ready to throw my phone across the room. When you're typing something, you're like, type. Oh, I. And then you hit enter and it backspace delete. Then you hit I again. You're like, I want an O. I don't want an I. I was clicking the O. Why? And then you're getting all frustrated. Now you're trying to respond to somebody. I got to get this message out. I got to prove that they're wrong. Yeah, and that's just
right.
like
I'll show you.
Wrong. I'll show you. I'm going to put it on Twitter. I'm going to show you that you're wrong.
Yeah, and I'll be right. People will fight to the death to be right. It's like, and I see this often sometimes in business. People don't see some of the signals, and they go down. But they were right. They just didn't have the outcome they wanted, but they were right. At the very end. So John Gill says, I'm taking all my spark drops. It will be worth it. I plan on making more money over the tax bill. Now this is the winning formula. This is how you look at stuff. You see, optimism. Hey, my plan is to earn way above and beyond that tax bill. This is where you have the success mindset. John Gill, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the support of the channel. But what do you think about that comment right there, John?
That's spot on.
John, John.
Right?
John,
Jeff.
I'm like, you got me all confused.
He's awesome, man. That's 100%. If you're not making more money than the tax bill, then I don't know what happened.
But that's the way to look at it. Like,
I just got taxed 120%.
Yeah, if you got to sell your tokens to pay the tax bill, well, what do you have left? And I'll go earn with that, right? So I like that. That's actually a positive way to look at it. And speaking of positive ways, let's have a positive week here. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff breaking inside the crypto space. I mean, I think we are just extremely lucky as XRP holders to be gifted the Spark token. And I'm going to need to work on a little bit more gratitude for understanding, and I'll let stuff work out in the wash. We
need a CPA. We need a CPA to explain one thing. So you have a tax implication. You get $100, you have to pay tax on it. What happens when you sell that asset to collect those $100? Do you also have to pay money? Do you have to pay tax on that sale, even though you pay tax on the receipt of it?
That's a pretty heavy question to bring up when we're like right at the conclusion, Jeff. I got to be honest.
I don't know the answer to it.
I don't either, but it's a heavy question,
We'd have to
man.
think through that one a little bit. Yeah, it's just something to
we
drop
can get,
it there. So
maybe we can get like some tax people on here. You know what, Jeff? Let's bring on a tax scholar.
We need to get a tax scholar, at least a PhD, or
like
maybe a CPA. I like a CPA.
Jeff's always stirring the pot.
Man, I love stirring the pot. It's fun because
you don't disagree with me just to do that, Jeff.
Sometimes
just to see me go off. You'd be like, I know I really thought the same way, but I just want to see you like go ballistic.
Because you get to that point, it's like, come on.
If you're still here, one person that watches our videos, thank you for being here, and thank you for being the the faithful, the ones that chime in here. Thank you for your support of the channel, for always coming in here, you know, making us laugh, you know, punching us in the throat when we need it here and there, which is not often, but every once in a while we get out of hand. But and then your comments are golden. So throw your comments down below, man. We love to see them, and we're okay with you don't agree with us. And you guys have made some really good arguments. That's what I love about it. It's not like, well, that's stupid. No, you guys go into descriptions, and I like that. It's like, got a good point there, you know, and that's what I like to see.
Yep, I like that. Thank you, John and Chip. Thank you, XRP News. I changed my name to John for tonight.
You'll be John. I'll be Chip.
John.
Just remember who the level-headed one is, Jeff. I'm just gonna say. I'm not gonna say who, but just remember who the level-headed one is. And I don't remember.
It must be you.
I don't know. Someone said it wasn't me. It was a third-party endorsement, Jeff.
But you know, we got
non-solicited one.
It was unsolicited. It was, yeah. You might have paid him on the back end, but no. we had 250 people tonight in the stream. We got to get this thing built back up. We need to get back to those 500 numbers, 350, 300. The one thing that you guys can do to really help the channel, if you like what's going on, make sure you just share it. Share it on Twitter. Do what you can do to help facilitate that. That'll be awesome. If you're brand new here to On the Chain, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Somehow that helps too. You know, subscribe to the channel. And that way you guys get notified every time we go live. It might not be right punctual when it's supposed to come out, but hopefully eventually it does. What is up, XRP Super Car? Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for the super sticker. Super cool.
Very nice. Sweet. That's awesome. So that's it, Chip. You know, tomorrow's another night.
We're going to have a fun week here. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about Get Storage, get you guys pumped up. Let's get back to fundamentals. Let's talk about why we made some investment choices, and let's look on the bright side of life. Remember that song from Monty Python? What was that song? You got to look on the bright side of life.
You got to look on the bright side of life.
I hope we don't get a strike for that.
Life is when you think of it, but
and then we got we get a strike for the bad singing. Ripple, you know, it's like wait a minute. YouTube gave you guys a strike, not for copyright, because it really sucked. It was the worst thing I've ever seen.
Canceled.
Boom! Get rid of them. You're gonna delete that show. It was horrible, guys. Horrible. Don't do it again. All right, awesome. That's all we have, guys. We'll see you guys this whole week when we hang out together. Chip
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check you guys out.
Chip and Jeff out. See you guys in the next one.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.